Hello, everyone, and welcome back to my webinar. Today, I'm going to be talking about emotional resilience and how you can use emotional resilience as a life coach and how you can help your clients with emotional resilience. So, I'm going to share my screen and we're going to get right into it. Perfect. All right. So, first, I just want to talk about what is emotional resilience. So emotional resilience essentially is the ability to bounce back from adversity and move forward from stresses and challenges. And understand that setbacks and feeling frustrated are a normal part of life. But learning how to be emotionally resilient can help when those times come. So we all know that setbacks, frustrations, challenges, they're a part of life. They're going to happen. They're normal. And it's okay to be frustrated with these setbacks and to feel stuck, but it's what we do with that feeling and how we handle that is what is really important. And that is where emotional resilience comes in. And as you can see, there's a picture of this little plant here growing out of the cement, which is odd because plants don't usually grow in cement. And so you don't see that very often. But this is kind of a good reminder to me, a good visual of emotional resilience, because we can imagine ourselves as this little plant growing. It can be tough to grow through cement and to grow through this little crack. But um, when we learn how to, the cement is kind of like the adversity, the challenges, the setbacks, the frustrations. But when we learn how to grow past those things and to not let them stop us from moving forward and from achieving our goals, that is where we can learn. That's where we're practicing how to be resilient. So, we're also going to talk about what emotional resilience is not, because although emotional resilience might require you to learn how to respond more positively to tough situations, it does not mean that you have to shut down your emotions and just move forward. And that's something that I don't want anyone to think when I'm talking about emotional resilience, because although emotional resilience means pushing past the struggles, it doesn't mean pushing them away and sweeping them under the rug and just trying to forget about them and move forward, because that's just going to set you back more. Emotional resilience means dealing with those tough situations when they come in an emotionally healthy way, um, and accepting your emotions, accepting how you're feeling during those hard times, and being able to be resilient and move forward when the time is right. So, if you want to be emotionally resilient without feeling overwhelmed, you first have to learn how to process your emotions and be present with them before you can move forward. This is really important because processing your emotions is a huge deal and it should be something that we all learn how to do. But it can be hard. Like any other person, processing your emotions it's not easy sometimes, especially when it's an emotion that you really don't like and you really just don't want to feel that way, but you feel that way. And that's just the thing, is you do feel that way sometimes. You do feel frustrated, you feel guilt, you feel shame, you feel anger, you feel sadness, and those are normal emotions and they're okay and you should accept them and then learn how to move on from them when it's time. So we're going to kind of dive into that a little bit, but first, let's talk about emotional resilience in life coaching. What do the two have to do with each other? So, whether you're a coach or a client, developing emotional resilience can equip you to navigate challenges and adapt to change. So, as a coach, practicing emotional resilience with your client can help them in many ways. So, if you're thinking about being a life coach, or if you are a life coach, practice emotional resilience. Are you emotionally resilient? And I know that um, it's not always going to come perfectly, and you're not always going to be able to be resilient through everything right away. But if you're a coach and you're able to have healthy emotions and an emotional healthy or and a healthy emotional resilience, then you'll be able to much easier help your client do the same. So practice emotional resilience with yourself and then help your client with that as well if they need it, because it'll help you to navigate the challenges and adapt to the change, and it'll help the client do the same as well. So that's kind of how they go hand in hand. because in order to be a better life coach, emotional resilience is going to come up in the topics. I mean, there's going to be hard times that the coach or that the client might be talking to you about. They might be talking to you about something they're dealing with that is hard to get past and they want to get past it. And emotional resilience plays a part in that. So now let's talk about developing emotional resilience and how you can use developing emotional resilience to help your client. So like I was talking about, um if you can develop emotional resilience and have a better understanding of it, you can help your client to do the same and that will increase and help them see some real change in their life and to be able to understand that there are going to be hard times and there are going to be challenges, but being resilient means you can push past those, you can process them, let them go, and move forward and learn what to do next. So, first, I want to talk about recognizing your emotions. This is, I think, the most important step in emotional resilience because you can't be resilient if you don't understand your own emotions. So, be present with yourself when you're feeling a certain emotion, even if it might be uncomfortable, which I know can be really hard, but it's important to create a safe and judgment free space for the client to express what they're feeling. If the client feels comfortable around you, then they're going to feel like they can open up to you about what they're feeling and how they might be struggling with something. So make sure to create that space for them where they feel like they can talk to you about their emotions and what they might be feeling. And that will open up a door for you to help them practice some emotional resilience. So try things for yourself and for the client. Try things like keeping an emotion journal to write down what you're feeling and why. And this can really help the client recognize what they feel. I think when you put something down on paper, you write it out, you talk about it, that's when the real change starts to happen because that's when you're actually putting it out there and recognizing it as a real thing. So I would say help your client if this is something they're struggling with, help them keep an emotional journal where they can write down how they're feeling and they don't have to share it with you, but they can use it as an outlet when they are feeling a certain way to release it out onto a page and to journal about it. And that'll help them really process what's going on. So, learning to embrace those emotions, process them, and then release it when it's time will allow your client to properly process what they're feeling and successfully move forward, feeling more equipped for what's ahead without anything weighing on them. And I kind of have this little three-step process that I think is really helpful to recognize your emotions and to use with your clients to help them recognize what they might be feeling. Because sometimes a client might come to you talking about something they're struggling with and they don't really know why they're struggling with it or what they are feeling about it. And this can help them understand. Or maybe they do know, but deep down, they just don't want to talk about it. Or it's just something that's too difficult for them, or at least feels too difficult. So the first step is to embrace the emotion, let it in. That's the first step. And it can be difficult, especially, like I said, if it's an emotion that maybe the client doesn't want to feel, they don't want to acknowledge it because it's a painful one. And that is hard, which is again why creating a safe space for them to feel comfortable talking about it to you is crucial. So help them embrace the emotion, then process it. The emotional resilience is all about processing your emotions in a healthy way and then being able to be resilient and move forward from that and move forward from those challenges and learn something from them. So process your emotion, let it come, process it, sit with it for a second, just understand what it is, maybe where it's coming from, and don't put yourself down during these times. Instead, we need to just understand that we're human and we feel these certain things, and certain things might upset us, and that's okay. It's how we deal with it that's important, and sitting down to just process and to breathe and to think about what am I feeling? Why am I feeling this way? Um, is really helpful. And then the third step is to just release the emotion. And you can do many different things to do this. You can imagine yourself releasing something out into the sky. kind of like this picture, or you can just move on from it. And this should only come when you are feeling ready to release it. Because if you try and skip the process part, you'll have a hard time releasing that emotion and it'll still sit with you and it'll be difficult to practice emotional resilience and move forward. So work on processing before you release the emotion. And then when you release it, you can move on feeling a little bit better than you did before. So next is find your support system. So this is more for the client, and the coach should be able to encourage the client to find that support system. And the coach could be their support system, and they should be a support system for the client. So resiliency does not mean you need to face these challenges alone. We succeed best when we know we have others supporting us. So having a support system can be super helpful. Find the person or people in your life who will be there for you when you need support. Um, so in life coaching, your coach can be a great support. That is what a life coach is there for. A life coach firmly believes the clients are fully capable and they will help you when you feel stuck or are hit hard with something difficult and will help you find the best path for you. And the client is the expert. The client has all the answers with them. And eventually they will get to the point where they know what they need to do to move forward. But having that support system with the life coach, having the support system of maybe a spouse, a friend, a family member, to know that, hey, you're not doing this alone. Whatever you're going through might be difficult, but you have other people that are there for you and that want to see you succeed. And I think Christ is our ultimate support system. If you ever feel you're alone, to cry, turn to Christ, the ultimate life coach. I like to think he is the ultimate life coach. Strengthening our relationship in him will 100% strengthen your resiliency. So even if you think, well, I have no one, I feel like I don't have a support system, just know that you probably do, but also that Christ is there for you. And he is always going to be a support to you, especially when you're going through tough times and especially when you need some resiliency. Um, he will help you strengthen your resiliency. And then there is this quote from Elder Jeffrey R. Holland that I really like that goes along with this. And it says, because Jesus walked such a long, lonely path utterly alone, we do not have to. So because Christ went through the same things that we're going through, and because he walked it alone, means that we don't have to, because he knows exactly how we're feeling and he knows exactly what we need. And he is there to support us to find that and to find our own resiliency and to move forward in hard times. So keep that in mind as a life coach, that it's important to make sure the client feels like they have support. Make sure they feels like they have support from you and help them pinpoint who in their life is a support, can be a support to them and can help them even more. Someone in their family, someone not in their family, whoever it may be, help them feel like, okay, I'm not in this alone. And that will help them feel like they can do it and that they can be resilient. And then face the challenge with a new mindset. So, of course, you've got to process your emotions. You've got to understand what even it is that's going on. And you have to let yourself have some time. But once you are ready, it's time to face the challenge with a new mindset. Excuse me. So, I think the best way to develop a strong emotional resilience is to face the challenge you've come across and, most importantly, meet it with optimism. It can be hard to be optimistic. I know it's easier said than done. Um, I know myself, even when I'm going through challenges or trials, the last thing I want to do is be optimistic. But it's important um, to choose to rise above the hardships. And it might be easier said than done. It takes time and practice to flip our mindset, because if you have a mindset of things aren't going to work out and I'm feeling so down and nothing's going to change, then of course nothing will change because you're thinking it won't. And so it just takes time and practice. It takes a lot of you saying things out loud, saying this is what I want, and this is what's going to happen, and this is how I'm going to feel. So when we choose to rise above the hardship and have a positive mindset, that causes us to become more emotionally resilient. It's okay and even welcomed to feel angry, sad, disappointed, etc. about a situation, but it's what we choose to do after those feelings come that helps us build resiliency. And this is a big one, I think, that I hope you remember is that it it is what we choose to do after those feelings come that help us build resiliency. Because, like, I kind of the whole theme I want you to remember is that resiliency doesn't mean pushing away your emotions. It means that you take those emotions into account, you take how you're feeling into account, and you choose what you're going to do with those feelings. You choose whether you're going to lash out or just feel sorry for yourself or all of these things, or if you're going to come out of it a different person and come out of it feeling better. So, practice a healthy mindset when difficult times appear. Use these steps to practice emotional resilience. As a life coach, encourage your client to do these things as well and work with them through the process to help them strengthen their own emotional resilience. And I have these 3 steps, but first, um, to tie this into life coaching, again, I think all of the things I've been talking about are things that if you as a life coach aren't practicing yourself, then it's going to be hard for you to teach them to your client and to help your client practice them. So work on yourself, work on facing challenges with a new mindset so that when the time comes, you can help your client do the same. So step one is to regulate yourself. Gather a peaceful mind. Of course, when you're in the midst of chaos or not knowing what to do or anything that may cause you to feel um, down, regulate yourself. Take a second. There have been too many times, at least for me, where I face a bump in the road and I kind of spin out a little bit and I don't take a second to just sit there and calm down. And when we skip over that part, then nothing really gets done and we just feel kind of horrible and we just feel kind of bad. So that I think is super important to regulate yourself, gather peace of mind. Think about what and I know this can be hard to do feeling um when you're feeling like nothing's going right or you're feeling like confused or whatever it may be. It can be hard to want to take time to relax because you just want to get through whatever this is. But that's another thing about resiliency is you can't um, be resilient and you can't move forward if you don't first take time for yourself to regulate and to feel like you are ready to move on. So think about things like, what do I like to do? What do I like to do that relaxes me? Who can I be around right now that will bring me a little bit of joy in my life? Whether it's spending time alone, spending time with friends, family, watching your favorite TV show, and all of these things doesn't mean to completely ignore the problem. I mean, because eventually you're going to have to face the problem and you're going to have to practice that resiliency to get through it. But take a little bit of time, and that's okay to take some time to be like, you know what, I just need to chill out for a sec. I need to regulate my emotions. I need to bring them back to the center because right now they're all out of balance, and that's okay. But if I want to move forward, I need to make them a little more balanced. So think about a space or an activity that you do that will help you come back to a regulated state. And then the second one is to brainstorm and write out all possible options. Um, this one I think is super helpful too, because like I mentioned earlier, writing things down already means that you're taking the next step to move forward because you're acknowledging what needs taken care of. So get out a journal, get out a piece of paper, and write down all your possible options to get past this bump in the road. I had my practice client, I met with her the other day, and she was really struggling with time management. and feeling super overwhelmed with all of these different aspects of her life that she was trying to juggle. And she was like, I just don't, like, I feel like I can't keep going like this. I'm going to burn out. I just don't know what to do. And obviously, I can't give her all the answers for what she should do. But I said, well, why don't we just write down a schedule? Write down all of the things that you need to get done in the day, and we can plan it out, write it out into little categories, how long each thing's going to take you, blah, 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 all this stuff. She wrote down a schedule, and it took her a while to just write down like what she needed to do, how she was going to do it, everything. And once she got it all out on paper, she told me that she immediately just felt a little bit lighter. And of course, she was like, I know that I still have to do all of these things, but I immediately just felt a little bit lighter because I got it out on paper. I thought about it, I processed it, and I was able to feel. And now she's able to feel like she can actually manage it because she has kind of this little step by step. So, brainstorming and writing out all the possible options is super, super helpful for trying to change your mindset and face the challenge, because it can help you feel a little bit more prepared for what's ahead. And getting out different options can help you feel like, okay, what is the best option for me right now? How can I handle this that will help me? And as a coach, it's really important to save some space for your client to do that when they're struggling with things like that, because then they can kind of look at it as an overall, and it feels a little less intimidating, and they feel like they can manage it a little bit better and might just feel a little bit lighter, hopefully. And then the last step is to take action. Um, but this, of course, can't come unless you do the other things first, because you need to feel like prepared. And again, that's another thing for resiliency is, if in order to feel that resiliency and to feel like you can really do these hard things and come out of it, um, and understand your emotions, is if you're taking care of yourself first and you're processing those emotions and you're thinking about an obtainable goal that you can make. And then when you're ready for that, you take action. Because of course, if you really want to see change, you gotta act. You have to do something. So take action, and it may just be step by step, little by little, but with practice, it'll get easier. And so to end, we're going to talk about resilience coaching. So this has been kind of centered around life coaching and how you can incorporate emotional resilience into your life coaching if there's a client who may need help with that. So there is something called resilience coaching. It's kind of something that I'm new learning about. I don't know a ton about it, but I did do some research on it. And I think it's really cool because it goes hand in hand with what we've been talking about. So if you're interested in emotional resilience and you're interested in being a life coach, then this might be like perfect for you. So not only is emotional resilience important for all kinds of life coaching, but you can also specialize in resilience coaching. So there are many coaching programs out there focusing on emotional resilience and other similar avenues, such as emotional intelligence coaching, mindfulness coaching, emotion coaching, and a few others. So if this sounds like something for you, check the links in the description down below for some resources. I'll have a couple links down below that can take you to different resources that talk about emotional intelligence, mindfulness, emotion coaching, and of course, resilience coaching. And resilience coaching really is kind of what we've been talking about. It's just helping a client with resilience. A lot of people, myself included, can struggle with resilience at times. So having a coach who specializes in this and can help them feel like they can manage this and they can strengthen their resilience is a super helpful tool. And so, if that is something you're interested in, definitely go check those links out. Because I think, as a life coach in general, learning about emotional resilience and how it can help the client, and I think it's kind of the starting point for making change. Um, because if you're able to recognize your own emotions, or if the client's able to recognize their own emotions, they're able to process those emotions in a healthy way, and then figure out, okay, what am I going to do from here? Then that makes a world of a difference. So I just want to say thank you so much for joining my webinar today. I hope you learned a little bit more about emotional resilience. Um, it's something that I am really passionate about because I think everyone, it's a skill that can be learned, and it can be tough to learn, but it is a skill that everyone can learn if they practice it. I think everyone should learn how to be emotionally resilient. Of course, like I've said many times, it's not always it's not always going to be easy, and it takes practice, and sometimes we fall down but we get back up, and that's exactly what resilience is falling down but getting back up and saying, yeah, okay, that situation was not ideal, but I'm going to get through it, or I got out of it and this is what I'm going to do now. It's about what are you going to do next. And I really like that for life coaching as well, because life coaching is all about helping the client um, get reach their goal and figure out, okay, what do I want to do next? What is going to benefit me in my life in this season of my life? And so, um, yeah, just being the kind of life coach to a client where you can help them strengthen their emotional resilience. Ask them questions about what emotion are they feeling? How does that emotion feel? Um, how can they move past that? How can they sit with it and process it, but move past that? And how can they get up from this feeling? And also, another thing I really want to stress is just don't or is to make sure the client feels like whatever they're feeling is okay, and it is an emotion that they can accept and that they can even love. Sometimes you don't love how you feel, and that's okay, but that's just the thing, is to help them feel like they what they're feeling is okay and it's understandable um and it's accepted, but it's what they're doing afterwards and how they're getting back up and moving forward is the key, and that's what I think is super important. So I'm gonna just go ahead and stop sharing my screen. So again, thank you so much for watching my webinar today about thank you so much for watching my webinar today about emotional resilience and how it goes hand in hand with life coaching. And if you are interested, there's a lot of avenues that have to do with resilience coaching and just learning about emotional resilience in general. Even if you don't want to specifically go into resilience coaching, learning about emotional resilience in general is super, super helpful, not only for yourself, but for the clients that you're coaching. They're going to feel a lot better, and they're going to feel like they can take on what they need to take on, and they can move forward from adversity, because they are resilient and because they have support and they can recognize the emotions they're feeling and all of that good stuff that I talked about today. So, thank you so much for joining me.